I found the girl of my dreams, but it turns out she slept with her dad and doesn't regret it at all. She said it so casually, like she was telling me about her day. I slept with my dad when I was 18, Rachel confessed, sipping her wine as if she didn't just rip the floor out from under me. My breath caught in my throat. At first, I thought she was joking, some messed up, twisted joke. But the look on her face told me otherwise. I didn't meet Rachel expecting anything serious at first. It was during a local charity drive, just one of those events you sign up for when you're trying to be a good person. She was sorting clothes, her sleeves rolled up, hair tied back in a messy bun, completely focused on the task. I noticed how she smiled warmly at everyone, like she truly cared. We struck up a conversation when we both reached for the same donation box. She laughed when our hands collided, and I couldn't help but notice how easy she was to talk to. It wasn't forced or awkward, just natural. By the end of the event, I had her number, and by the end of the week, we were sharing drinks at a cozy little bar downtown. Rachel had this way of making me feel like I was the only person in the room. She listened, asked questions, and told stories about her childhood, camping trips, her love of animals, and how she always dreamed of rescuing dogs. She was so open, so warm. It was easy to fall for her. Within a few months, we were spending most nights together. She had little quirks I adored, how she'd hum softly while brushing her teeth or dance around the kitchen while waiting for the coffee to brew. I thought she was perfect, but the truth about someone doesn't always reveal itself right away. Sometimes it waits until you're in too deep to climb back out. After a year, we moved in together. Life was smooth, work, dinners, weekends with friends. We clicked in every way that mattered. Rachel was supportive, easygoing, and could turn the most ordinary nights into something special. There were no fights, no drama. We both liked the same shows, the same food, even the same way to spend a lazy Sunday morning, curled up on the couch with coffee and silence. I felt safe. We met each other's families early on, and while hers was small, just her dad, it didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary. She mentioned he helped raise her alone after her mom passed away. "He's a good man," she said once. I didn't press further. Why would I? Everything seemed fine. We were building a future together, or so I thought. After dinner, we sat on the couch. She was scrolling on her phone, sipping wine. I had just switched on the TV when she said it. "I slept with my dad when I was 18. The words hit me like a punch, but she didn't flinch. She looked at me like she had just told me what she ate for lunch. I turned to face her. "What did you say?" "I slept with my dad," she repeated. "We were drunk. It happened once." I put down the remote. My palms were sweating. "Why are you telling me this?" She shrugged. "It's something you should know." I struggled to process what I'd heard. "Does he know?" "No. He doesn't remember." "But I do," she said, taking another sip of wine. "Rachel," I said, standing up, "this isn't normal. Do you understand that?" She looked confused. "It's in the past. It's not like it matters now." I paced back and forth, my mind racing. "Do you feel bad about it?" "No," she said. "Why would I? It was a mistake, but it's not something I've lost sleep over. I've moved on. He doesn't even remember." I stopped pacing and stared at her. "You're sitting there, telling me you slept with your dad, and you don't care?" "I don't see the point of caring," she said. "It's over. What do you want me to say?" I didn't have an answer. My throat felt tight. My chest hurt. I wanted to ask more, but I was afraid of the answers. She wasn't crying. She wasn't ashamed. She was just waiting for me to move past it, like it didn't change everything. But it did. I followed her into the kitchen. My heart was pounding, and my hands were shaking, but I didn't care. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" I demanded. Rachel sighed. "Because it's not important anymore." "Not important?" My voice rose. "You slept with your father, Rachel. How is that not important?" "I told you," she said. "It happened once. I was 18, we were drunk, and it's in the past." I took a step closer. "But you don't regret it. That's what's killing me. You said it like it was just another story from your life. No shame, no guilt. Because I've made peace with it." she said, her tone flat. I can't go back and change it. What's the point of obsessing over it? The point, I said through gritted teeth, is that you just dropped this on me out of nowhere, and now you're acting like I'm the one with the problem. She crossed her arms. You do have a problem. I've already dealt with this. I don't need to explain myself over and over just because you can't handle it. I felt the anger boiling in me. Do you even hear yourself? You're blaming me for not being okay with the fact that you had sex with your dad. I'm not blaming you, she said. I just don't see why you're making this into something bigger than it is. Bigger than it is? I repeated. Rachel, this is huge. It changes everything. She rolled her eyes. Why? Because you think it makes me a bad person? It doesn't define me. It happened. It's done. I stared at her, waiting for something, anything, to show me that she understood how serious this was. But there was nothing. She stood there, calm and unmoved. You should have told me, I said, my voice dropping. I've been with you for 2 years, thinking I knew who you were. You do know who I am, she said. I'm the same person you've been with this whole time. Nothing has changed. It has for me, I said. She sighed again. Then maybe you need to figure out what you want to do about it. I didn't say anything. I grabbed my keys and left the apartment, slamming the door behind me. I left the apartment and walked for a while, trying to calm myself down. My mind was racing. I kept hearing her voice repeating the same words, it's not a big deal. I've moved on. I sat on a bench outside a nearby park, my head in my hands. How was this happening? How had I been in a relationship with someone for 2 years and never seen anything like this coming? I felt trapped between disbelief and anger. I thought back to the night we met. She seemed so normal. She talked about her childhood, her dad, and how he raised her after her mom passed away. There were no signs, no clues that something like this had ever happened. I tried to understand her point of view. Maybe she had buried it so deep that it stopped affecting her. Maybe, to her, it really didn't matter anymore. But that wasn't the case for me. I couldn't unhear what she had said. I couldn't see her the same way again. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was Rachel. I ignored it. I thought about going back to the apartment and trying to talk to her again, but I knew how that would end. She would repeat the same things, it's in the past. It doesn't matter. You're overreacting. She didn't see what I saw. That was the problem. I sat there for what felt like hours. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that nothing she could say would fix this. The trust was gone. The image I had of her, the woman I wanted to build a life with, had been shattered. When I finally stood up, I knew exactly what I needed to do. When I got back to the apartment, Rachel was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. She didn't even look up when I walked in. For a second I stood there, watching her, wondering if she even cared about what was happening between us. I walked over and stood in front of her. We need to talk. She put her phone down and crossed her arms. Are you done freaking out? I ignored her tone. I can't do this anymore, Rachel. Her face hardened. Can't do what? You're seriously going to throw away 2 years over something that happened before you even knew me? It's not about the past, I said. It's about how you handled it. You didn't tell me, and when you finally did, you acted like it didn't matter. Like I'm the crazy one for being upset. Because it doesn't matter, she shot back. I've made peace with it. I don't see why you're making this into some life-altering crisis. I felt the anger rise again. How can you not see the problem? You slept with your dad, Rachel. That's not normal. That's not something you just brush off. She shook her head. I can't believe you're doing this. I trusted you enough to tell you the truth, and this is how you react? I'm reacting like a normal person would, I said. You're the one acting like it's nothing. You don't even regret it. Why should I? She said. I've accepted it. I've moved on. That's the problem, I said. You don't think it's a big deal. You don't understand how this affects me, and you don't care. She stood up and faced me. So what now? You're just going to leave me because I told you the truth? I nodded. Yes. I can't be with someone who doesn't see why this is wrong. I can't look at you the same way anymore. For a moment she looked like she might cry, But then her expression hardened again. Fine. If you're too weak to handle it, go. I stared at her, my jaw clenched. You don't get it. This isn't about being strong or weak. This is about trust, and it's gone. She didn't say anything. I grabbed a bag and started packing. She stood there, arms crossed, watching me like I was the one who had done something wrong. When I finished, I walked to the door and turned around one last time. Goodbye, Rachel. She didn't reply. I closed the door behind me and left. I left the apartment and didn't look back. As I walked down the hallway, I felt a strange mix of emotions, anger, relief, and sadness all fighting for space in my head. But the further I got from her door, the more certain I became that this was the right decision. There was no coming back from this. No apology could fix it. No explanation could change what she had said or how she had reacted. It wasn't just about what had happened when she was 18. It was her complete indifference that I couldn't get past. For 2 years, I had believed in her. I had imagined a future with her. But now, all I could see was a person I didn't recognize. Someone who could share a secret like that and feel nothing. Someone who thought I was the problem for reacting the way I did. I called a friend and asked if I could stay at his place for a few days. I didn't tell him everything, just that the relationship was over, and I needed space. He didn't ask for details, and I was grateful for that. As I settled into the spare room, I thought about what life would be like moving forward. There would be no wedding, no future plans with her. It felt like ripping off a band-aid, painful, but necessary. I didn't hate her. I didn't even feel like yelling at her anymore. But I couldn't forgive her, and I couldn't stay with her. Some things are too big to ignore, no matter how much you try. The woman I had loved didn't exist anymore. Or maybe she never did, and that was the hardest part to accept.